on any robots in space?
I have. I used to work with the space station robots. So the two main ones we used were the SSRMS. Sometimes they call it Canadarm2, which is 57 feet long. It's a big manipulator that we use to basically put all the modules together, the space station, and install all the truss work. And then it can pick up a smaller one called Dexter that has 2 arms and can do repair work. It can replace computers, it can replace circuit breakers, and do a lot of kind of maintenance and repair work.
Do you have any video of you operating the robotic arm?
I'm sure it's out there somewhere. There's videos of the arm moving around for sure. We can fly it from Mission Control in Houston. And it's real fun to see what the robots are doing, but it actually looks pretty boring what I'm doing on the ground because we just have a big kind of computer terminal and we're just hitting buttons. But yeah, I'll see if I can find you a time-lapse video and send you one.
What do robots do in space?
The ones I worked on, they mainly did support for repair missions and like survey work of the space station. We had cameras on them, so you could fly them around and you could look for any kind of damage or just kind of see how things are going out there. We also send a lot of like space probes and rovers and landers out to go explore, new places and study things for us before we send people out there.
Why do we need robots in space? Why can't people do it?
The ultimate goal is to send people out, but the thing with robots is you can give them a very specific type of sensors that can go study things and see if it's kind of an interesting place to go to send people and more equipment. Also, you can send robots into dangerous places that you wouldn't really want to send people first. So, like with Mars, it's kind of risky to get out there, so it's a lot easier to send robots, because if you lose a robot, you can always build another and send it. Send another one. And so yeah, we kind of use them as pathfinders.
What are some robots that are found in space? Can you give some examples?
Sure. I always kind of think of them in like 3 big groups. So the ones a lot of people think of first are like the rovers and the landers. So a lot of the probes that we've sent to Mars. Some of the early stuff we used to land on the moon. So we had one in the 90s called Sojourner, which is a little rover. There was Spirit and Opportunity, which were the 2 Mars rovers. They were twins. And then Mars Curiosity, which is rolling around right now. Then you have kind of deep space probes. So if you've heard about like the Voyager satellites, you can consider them robots. They're very old. They're not very smart, but they're robots, and you can send them out and go look at the far planets, or like New Horizons was a probe we shot by Pluto. And then the third type is kind of the repair robots, the kind of stuff that we use on the space station. So a little more like muscle to go do repair work and some heavy lifting, and not so much about research and exploration, but more about keeping the ship going.
Can you tell something about rovers, like the Mars rovers or the Moon rovers?
Yeah. So the Mars rovers are a lot of fun. The gravity's not the same on Mars. So the rovers, they're all electric, but they don't have to be able to carry themselves like in as much weight as if they were here on Earth. So the current one that's up there has its own little robotic arm, and it can drive around and dig up samples, and kind of we packed in a few sensors in there so it can go pick up rock samples and drill into rocks and kind of tell us if there's ever been water or air or anything like that in Mars.
Are there any new plans to send more robots to space?
Yeah, I can't think of any specifics right off, but I know they're always looking at launching rovers to Mars. As they get better at doing that, and as technology gets better, you can fit more science equipment into a rover. And as rockets get bigger, you can send bigger and bigger rovers. So, Sojourner was about the size of a remote-controlled car. Spirit and Opportunity were a little bit bigger. Curiosity is about the size of a golf cart. So they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And also, if we plan on going back to the moon, they're going to want some kind of rover to like move around modules and help the crew get places and sort of help them with their science. So I know they're still designing a lot of that stuff, and a lot of that's pretty interesting.
Are there any robots that are going to be built for exploration on Jupiter?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I've mainly studied the ones going to Mars and the ones going around Earth. But a few years ago, they launched a probe called Juno that went out and was studying Jupiter and all of her moons. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Juno. What was the name of that one? Ask me if I want
If I have to become a space robotic engineer, what should I do?
So, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but stay in school, study hard. My degree is in aerospace engineering, and so robotics is fun because it covers a lot of different kinds of engineering. You know, aerospace looks at spacecraft and how things work in space. The two big ones are mechanical and electrical. So mechanical engineering is like the design of the mechanisms, you know, the wheels and the arms and kind of the mechanical stuff. Electrical would be the circuit boards and the brains, the computers, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you know, most of those are 4-year degrees. Go get an engineering degree in college, and that's how I got to be a robotic engineer. So that'd be the way to do it. There's also stuff like computer science if you want to get into the programming side of things.
Yeah. Anything special that you want to tell the young engineers like me?
I just keep having fun with it. The reason I kept doing space robots was because it was a lot of fun. Doing, you know, things like First Robotics and BattleBots, if you ever watched that, that's what got me into it, was BattleBots. And so, you know, even if you don't wind up doing space robotics, there's a lot of cool robots out there. You know, industry uses a lot of robots. Medical, you know, there's like surgical robots and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of cool things to be done with robots.
Thank you for your time and help for my research.
Absolutely.